In the beautiful and bustling city of Lagos, people admired the bright lights, beautiful cars, and luxurious mansions. It was a place where dreams were shown off and money spoke loudly. Among the shining stars of the city was a woman named Daisy. Daisy was known by almost everyone in Lagos. She wasn't a singer, actress, or politician. She was simply a glamorous woman, a socialite who appeared at every high-class event, always wearing the most expensive clothes and jewelry. Her pictures filled magazines, and her smile was on every billboard. People admired her beauty, her charm, and her style. Young girls copied her looks. Influencers spoke about her fashion. To many, Daisy was the true definition of success. She was married to James, a very wealthy and powerful businessman who owned several companies. James was tall, charming, and respected in high society. When he married Daisy, people said it was the wedding of the year. Their love story seemed perfect, and their lifestyle even more glamorous. But behind the glitz and glam was a secret Daisy buried deep inside her heart. Daisy had told everyone she was an orphan. She said her parents died in a car crash when she was a child. According to her, a greedy uncle had taken all her inheritance and left her with nothing. James believed her. He felt sorry for her and vowed to give her a better life. He kept his promise. But the truth was far different. Daisy's mother, Martina, was very much alive. She was an old, poor woman who lived in one of the poorest parts of the city. She had wrinkles on her face, her clothes were worn out, and her shoes had holes. She didn't beg, but she sat quietly by the roadside most days, hoping someone would be kind enough to give her some food or a few coins. People who saw her pitied her. Many wondered, where are her children? Why is she all alone? Nobody knew that this same poor old woman was the mother of the most glamorous woman in town. Daisy had left her past behind the moment she tasted fame. She was ashamed of where she came from. She believed that if anyone found out about her background, they would reject her and stop respecting her. So, she decided to keep her mother a secret, even from James. Sometimes, Daisy would drive through the road where her mother sat. She would stop briefly, roll down her car window, and hand over a bag of food or fruit. She always acted like a stranger, offering charity to an unknown poor woman. Martina, on the other hand, always smiled when she saw Daisy. She didn't complain. She didn't chase her daughter away. She simply accepted the little gifts and said, "Thank you, my child." One sunny afternoon, Daisy and James were being driven through town in her luxury black SUV. As they approached the familiar corner, Daisy quickly told the driver to stop. She picked up a bag of apples and handed it through the window to Martina. James watched carefully. He had seen her do this before. "That woman," James said as they drove off. "She always stares at you like she knows you. You also seem different around her. Who is she?" Daisy laughed lightly. "No one. I just feel sorry for her. She reminds me of someone I once knew." James didn't ask further, but his eyes said he wasn't convinced. Later that week, Daisy stopped by again to see Martina. This time, she was with two of her glamorous friends. They had just finished brunch at a fancy cafe nearby. As Daisy approached Martina with a small bag of bread, Martina stood up, smiled warmly, and said, "My daughter, you came." Daisy froze. Her friends turned and looked at her in surprise. "What did she say?" one of them asked. "Oh," Daisy laughed awkwardly. "These old people. They say anything. I've never seen her before today." Martina's smile slowly disappeared. She looked at her daughter with sadness in her eyes. Daisy turned and walked back to her car, laughing loudly with her friends. "Can you imagine?" she said. "The poor woman thinks I'm her daughter. She's confused, probably senile." Her friends giggled and shook their heads. Martina sat back down slowly. Her heart felt heavy, but she didn't say a word. She just watched Daisy's car disappear into the distance. Daisy's life continued to be full of parties, events, and photo shoots. But at home, things started to change. James began to feel tired of the endless events and careless spending. He wanted a family. He wanted peace. But Daisy was too busy being a celebrity. "You're always out," James told her one evening. "Do you ever think of settling down? Do you think about your future beyond all this?" Daisy rolled her eyes. "We have everything, James. Why do you worry so much?" "Because money isn't everything," James replied quietly. "I want more than this." Soon, their marriage became cold. They slept in separate rooms. They hardly ate together. Rumors of a divorce began to spread through the media. While Daisy's world slowly began to crumble, something happened on the other side of town. Dear amazing viewers, what do you think Daisy's life would be like if her marriage crumbles? As for Martina, keep watching to find out what life holds in store for her. Before I continue, I would like to ask you to like this video and kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and turn on the notification bell to get notified when I publish new videos. Much appreciation. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back and thank you so much. Now back to the story. A young, wealthy man named Nick was driving past the old roadside when he saw Martina sitting quietly, holding a piece of dry bread. Something about her touched his heart. He stopped his car and got out. "Ma, are you okay?" he asked gently. Martina looked up, surprised. "I'm fine, son. Just watching the world go by." "Do you have anyone?" Nick asked. "Any family?" Martina smiled sadly. "I had a daughter once, but she forgot me." Nick didn't know what to say, but he felt something in his heart, a connection. He offered to take Martina home and care for her. At first, she refused. "I don't want to be a burden." "You won't be," he replied. "Please let me help you." Nick took her home to his big mansion in the city. He gave her clean clothes, warm meals, and a beautiful room of her own. He treated her like royalty. Every morning, they would eat breakfast together and talk. Nick listened to her stories and laughed at her jokes. He told his staff, "This woman is special. Treat her with respect." Soon, people in the city began to notice that the old woman from the roadside now lived in a mansion. Some whispered, some smiled. But Martina remained humble. She never said a word about Daisy to anyone. Back at Daisy's end, everything collapsed. James moved out of the house. His lawyers sent divorce papers. He didn't want to be in the news, so he quietly cut ties and moved to another city. Daisy tried to hold on, but her lifestyle couldn't be maintained without James. She began to sell her bags, shoes, and even jewelry. Friends who used to beg for her attention now avoided her. Some even laughed behind her back. She tried to rent an apartment, but her money was almost gone. She ended up in a small hotel room, sitting on the floor, staring at her phone. Then she heard it. A social media post showed Martina smiling beside a young man in a fancy living room. The caption read, "Roadside mother finds new home with kind stranger." Daisy stared at the photo. Her eyes widened. "Mama?" For the first time in years, Daisy felt deep shame. She called around, asked questions, and finally found where Martina now lived. She dressed modestly and took a cab. When she arrived at the gate, she stood there shaking. She told the gatekeeper, "I want to see Martina. I'm her daughter." Nick came out to see who was at the gate. When he saw Daisy, he recognized her immediately from the magazines. "You're her daughter?" he asked with raised brows. Daisy nodded slowly. "Yes, and I came to ask for her forgiveness." Nick didn't speak right away. He looked closely at Daisy, her tired face, her shaky hands, the sadness in her eyes. She was no longer the proud, flashy socialite he had seen on magazine covers. She was a broken woman. "I'm not here for pity," Daisy said, her voice trembling. "I came to say sorry. I hurt the one person who truly loved me. I denied her. I mocked her. And now, I have no one." Nick nodded quietly and stepped aside. "She's inside." Daisy walked in slowly, every step heavy with guilt. The house smelled warm and clean. She could hear birds singing in the garden and soft music playing from a distant room. When she saw Martina, her knees buckled. Her mother looked so peaceful, sitting on a cushioned chair by the window, sipping tea. She wore a fine dress and soft slippers. Her skin looked healthier, her eyes brighter. Martina turned and saw her daughter standing there. She didn't speak. Daisy fell to her knees, tears flowing freely. "Mama, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Martina said nothing. She simply stared. "I was ashamed," Daisy sobbed. "Ashamed of where I came from. Ashamed of you. I was scared people would judge me if they knew. I lied to my husband. I lied to the world. I acted like you didn't exist. But all you ever did was love me." Martina put down her tea and slowly stood up. Her hands trembled as she reached for her daughter's face. "I waited for this day," she whispered. "I prayed for this day. I cried for it too many times." Daisy looked up, her lips quivering. "Can you ever forgive me?" Martina nodded, tears running down her cheeks. "You are my child. I loved you before the world knew your name. I never stopped loving you. I forgive you." They held each other, mother and daughter, both crying, both shaking, both healing. Nick quietly left the room and gave them space. Later that evening, Nick sat with them. Daisy thanked him for what he had done. "You gave my mother the love I should have given her. You fed her, cleaned her, respected her. I owe you everything." Nick smiled. "I just did what anyone with a heart should do. Your mother is special. You're lucky to have her." A few days later, Daisy found the courage to visit James. He agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe. She wore a simple dress and no makeup. When James walked in, he barely recognized her. She stood and spoke first. "I lied to you, James. I'm not an orphan. My mother is alive. I hid her because I was ashamed of my background. I thought I had to lie to be accepted in your world." James looked at her silently. "I lost everything," Daisy continued. "My money, my pride, my peace. But I found something more important. Truth. And I'm trying to be better." James took a deep breath. "Why now?" "Because hiding the truth nearly destroyed me. I wanted to face it. I want you to meet her. Her name is Martina. She's beautiful and strong. And she's my mother." There was a long silence. Then James gave a slow nod. "Let's meet her." That weekend, James visited Martina. They talked for hours. She told him about Daisy's childhood, her struggles, her dreams. He listened with tears in his eyes. He understood her better now. He saw where her fear came from. Over time, James forgave Daisy. It didn't happen in one day, but with honesty and effort, they rebuilt their friendship. They didn't rush back into marriage, but they stayed in each other's lives, healing slowly. Later that year, Daisy published a book. She titled it The Woman by the Roadside. In it, she told her real story about shame, pride, love, and forgiveness. She talked about Martina and how she had turned her back on the woman who gave her life. The book became a bestseller, not because it was glamorous, but because it was real. People cried reading it. Mothers hugged their daughters. Daughters called their mothers. Daisy started speaking at schools and women's events. She encouraged young girls to never be ashamed of where they come from. Your beginning is not your end, she often said, and your mother, no matter how poor, is a part of your glory. She no longer lived in a mansion. She didn't need to. She lived in a modest home with Martina. Sometimes James visited. Sometimes Nick did too. They all became friends, strangers brought together by kindness, truth, and love. Martina often sat by the garden now, sipping tea and smiling as birds flew by. She wasn't poor anymore, but more importantly, she wasn't forgotten. And Daisy, she was finally free. Before you watch the next video, kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Please click on the subscribe button and like this video. Be a part of my channel's growth by clicking on the next video on the screen and drop a comment to let me know what you think about the story. Thank you for watching. Much appreciation.